All right. Now, the chapter that I will be doing for this video will be Ethnics Chapter 3. Chapter 3 goes over confronting other violations. Now, that falls under when you see as a person, when you see another person going through a violation, or you see that they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing, or maybe something wrong, you want to know how are you able to not only address the situation, but make sure that they are not fully affected in more than just fixing the situation and not affecting their life as a whole, as their own privacy, as their personal life as a whole, just for that one situation. And the book goes over a theory called the Potter Box. Now, the Potter Box provides a simple guidelines of how to get through a situation like this with 4 simple steps or principles. 1 is facts, 2 is values, 3 is principles, and 4 is loyalties. Now, facts and values tie under what facts do you know, and you determine the type of value they hold. So the whole issue of the whole facts of the situation, what values do the situation hold, and what importance do they have? And that's where it comes with number 3, the principles. The principles of how are they important to the situation, how shall you move towards making sure that that situation is handled and nothing more and nothing added on to it. And also looking at the values through different lenses and different systems of ethnics to provide a more open-minded and a more grand sense of things. That way you are not secluded to one thing and it's not based off an unethical and very petty and very out of the way situation. Let me rephrase that. Principles is basically looking at your values through the situation and different ethnical views. That way you are not secluded to a very biased answer. You're very unbiased, you are very open-minded, and you can see the different values. And the loyalties determines whom and what you are loyal to help clarify your thinking and help figure out who are you trying to help and who are you and what is your primary goal when you are trying to help this person. Are you trying to just delete the whole mistake as a whole and make sure that that doesn't happen again, or make sure that this person who possibly continues to do this certain mistake various times, but they have, even though it's been addressed, they haven't made a move to change it? So are you taking away the situation, or are you taking away the person who is creating this situation on a constant basis? Now the NPPA, the National Press Photographers Association, is also dedicated to the advancement of visual journalism. Example, which is photos, videos, anything that is very visual to the public that they can see as far as just reading the article. What I got from this book was that whenever it comes to a situation, and say for me, I see somebody cheating on a test, but I don't want their whole persona, their whole personality as they are to just be secluded to this one situation. Like, just because they cheated on this one test does not mean they're going to cheat on every test. I want to be sure that this one situation is handled, but not in a way where it is affecting that person's life negatively after the situation. I would like to possibly look over my options, look over what ways I could possibly address the teacher or possibly address the student, see if there are ways to help so we do not see this situation again, and see which way I can address it. That way it's not a big public issue, and it's not out to the public as far as a personal opinion of that person and what they have done. So whenever I choose to, or whenever I decide to make that decision to address the situation and try to move forward with it, I have to think very, very intuitively to where I can make sure that when I address a situation and I tell this teacher, I can also possibly make sure that person is present, so they are also saying their side of the story. Maybe I caught my side wrong, but I also want to make sure it is not in bad notion. I want to fix the problem, not make it worse when I address it, if that makes sense. But how I plan to move on after I've read this chapter, I will look more, or how I became more ethical after reading this chapter. I've learned that throughout my situations, I can be very connected with my feelings, and I do not think of certain situations in reality, but more in an emotional kind of way, to where the reality is lost and the situation is not dealt with in a healthy way, but more in a negative way, to where instead of fixing the situation, I'm making it worse by letting my feelings get in the way, and I'm also not providing a good substitution in how this works for me and the other party, no matter what the situation may be. I will now learn to, instead of listening to my feelings first, I will sit back and think of which ethical ways the problem could go, and how we could solve this issue with the least amount of problems, least amount of negativity, and least amount of issues going forth. We want to build each other in the future and not bring each other down through our mistakes.